So I got this little tractor just the other day because I'm doing some work around the property, and it was getting a little too hard to do stuff manually. I bought the little trailer thing to go along with it, but I had previously cut down 3 big bougainvilleas and then hauled them off the property, and there are thorns everywhere. Here's just an example of a relatively small one, but they're causing me flats in the tires. I've already had the front left tire go flat, and then yesterday I noticed another thorn, and when I pulled it out I heard it sounded like air rushing out, so it wasn't actually rushing, but it was coming out. So I sprayed some soapy water on it, and it started blowing bubbles, sure enough. And then as I roll this thing around, I see more thorns. That's one right there. There's another one, actually. Yeah, look at that one. Let's see, get you where you can see it better. There's another one. But in any event, I did some research on this stuff called slime. I have never used it before. There are detractors. If you stick around to the end, I'll tell you what my research has yielded. But I did the front tire, and it's working beautifully. And as I look at that, I see another thorn right there. I haven't pulled it out, but this one is slimed. So when I pull that out, the slime will take care of that. But I'm going to show you how to use this stuff. Firstly, you want to roll, in this case it's my tractor, but so that the valve stem is in the upper portion as opposed to being down here. Then you want to remove the cap. Then you remove the cap on here, which doubles as a core removal tool. And you just slide that in. There it went. And oops, remove that core. There's the rest of that air coming out. I like to put these things in something so they don't get lost. And then you want to shake this stuff up, which I've already done. For 30 seconds, they say shake vigorously. And then you put this little straw on here. And then we want to position that over the valve. And incidentally, they say to pull out if you've got a nail or thorns or whatever, you can pull them out. Now as I look, I think I showed you that one, but there's another one, there's another one. The more I roll these things around, there's going to be more. And then for like tractor tires, they say you want to put in about 8 ounces, and all you do is just squirt it in. And I'm going to stop the camera. As you're putting it in, you want to keep an eye on the level, which is kind of hard because it coats the inside of the container, but you can see this is 2 uses, and I'm down to 16 ounces out of the total bottle, which this bottle's 32. But then after that, you put your core back in, which you use the little tool to do. Get that snug down. And then you pump it up to the recommended pressure. In this case, on these tires, I checked and it's 12 pounds. And there we go, 12 pounds. Put the cap on. And then they say to take it for a ride. in the case of like these tires, what do they say, 2/10 of a mile to get it coated through there. And that's all there is to it. Now let me address some of the detractors. But before I get to that, I've now pre-slimed the other tires as a preventative. And here's exactly why. Each of the tires, incidentally, as I roll them around, has several thorns. This one I pulled out, and there it is. It plugged the tire. And now for the detractors, and I've got a microphone because I've got a fan going on over here. And for some reason, the microphone works very well attached to my beard right here, so I'm not trying to be weird. But anyway, one of the things you hear about this stuff is that over time it will corrode your wheel, the metal wheel inside there, with it sloshing around. And that may have been true with earlier versions of this stuff, but it now has additives in there that are anti-corrosive, so that's no longer the case. Another thing you'll hear is just the weight of this sloshing around inside there will knock your tires out of balance. And with an automobile, for certain, that would be a problem. It could be a little bit of a rough ride when you're going 60 to 70 miles an hour on the highway. But for, tractor tires, lawnmower tires, wheelbarrows, and so on, that's just not the case. So when it's being used for a car or truck or whatever, you want to use it only for an emergency, and it says to get the tire repaired as quickly as possible. I think they say don't go more than 100 miles, but in an emergency, 100 miles, should get you where you need to go, hopefully. In the case of tractors, lawnmowers, ATVs, bicycles, it can be used obviously for an emergency, but it can be used as a preventative as well, as I did on the right two tires. And they say it can stay in there for up to 2 years and be functional, which in my case is absolutely perfect. I think these bougainvilleas this is their revenge for me having cut them down. Their thorns everywhere are seeking out my new tractor tires. But using it as a preventative is perfect, because otherwise, I'm familiar with plugging tires. I understand how to do that, but I would be plugging tires, 4 times a day. In my case, with all these thorns everywhere, and it's just that's not feasible. And then finally, like I said earlier, you can keep it in there for up to 2 years, they say. Which is wonderful. And then after 2 years, it's probably time to change the tires anyway, which brings up the point of the people that actually change the tires. They will hate you. And I can't blame them. It's messy when they take the tire off the rim to change out the tires. But I'm not the one that woke up with the dream of being in the tire changing business. I just am not. And again, in my case, if I were to be plugging the holes in my tires, I'd be doing 4 or 5 plugs a day, and my tires would be nothing but plugs. So that's just not feasible. And finally, one of the things that really sold me on using it as a preventative, I watched a video with 2 guys, and they had what looked to be an ATV tire attached to an axle so that they could turn it. And they had a nail in the tire, and they pulled the nail, and you can hear the air coming out. And they put the slime in just like I did with my tractor tires, and then they turned the wheel on that axle, and you could hear and then it stopped as soon as the slime hit the hole where the nail was. But then they had the second guy with a drill with a 3/8-inch drill bit on it, and he drilled a hole into it. And then of course when he pulled the drill bit out, and it was as they turned it on the axle, and it stopped it. And then he drilled another hole and stopped. And then he drilled a third hole, stopped. Now, as a preventative, that's exactly what I'm looking for, which is why I now have all of my tires slimed, and that's just how it is. I'll put a link for it down below for anybody that may be interested. But anyway, thanks for watching.